You work hard to pay for every square foot of your home, and still so much of it goes to waste. Storage runs out, furniture crowds every walkway, and the things you barely use take over the space meant for what you actually need. There are 12 Japanese organization rules that Americans break every day. And together, they are the reason your home feels small and cramped no matter how much you tidy. Homes in Japan are barely half the size of ours. And even without a garage, a basement, or an attic, their rooms still feel calmer, cleaner, and far more open than ours ever do. The first rule is the reason. The first thing you see when you come home is visual chaos. The second is the reason your kitchen feels half its size every time you try to prepare a meal. And the last is the reason your living room feels darker and smaller than it really is even in the middle of the afternoon. The first Japanese organization rule Americans break is about the pile of shoes at your front door. In a Japanese home, shoes come off inside a closed cabinet called a ghetto set into a recessed tiled entry zone called the genkan, so the entryway greets you with an empty floor and a clean slate. In an American home, shoes pile up on an open rack or straight on the floor, and the entryway greets you with visual chaos before you have even taken your coat off. The entryway is the first thing anyone sees, and every pair of shoes becomes part of that impression. An open shoe rack organizes the pile without ever removing the pile, which is why it never solves the problem. The solution is a slim tilt-out shoe cabinet like the IKEA stall or Bissa, which holds shoes at an angle so the cabinet does not stick out into the room. You can add a low bench for the 2 or 3 pairs in daily rotation and fix it to the wall, especially if you have children. Measure the width of your entryway tonight because these cabinets come in widths from about 12 and up. The second rule is about the kitchen counter. In a Japanese kitchen, the counter is almost completely empty because tools hang off wall rails and appliances stay inside cabinets, so the flat surface stays clear for cooking. In an American kitchen, the counter holds the coffee maker, the knife block, the paper towel holder, the stand mixer nobody has touched since Christmas, the air fryer, the toaster, the chocolate fountain from a birthday in 2019, and a fruit bowl with one lonely banana. Every object takes up more space than it looks because the area around it becomes unusable. That is why you chop on a 9-inch square in the middle of the counter, no matter how big it is. The Japanese reasoning is that every appliance on your counter is using up space you paid for, and most are not used often enough to earn that space. Reserve your counters for the 2 or 3 appliances you use nearly every day, and put everything else inside a cabinet. If something has not come out in a year, be honest about whether it deserves the storage. Clear one appliance off the counter tonight and see if you miss it in a week. The third Japanese organization rule Americans break is about the sofa in your living room. In a Japanese living room, a sofa carries 2 or 3 cushions and a single throw, all chosen for a reason, so the sofa is actually a place to sit. In an American living room, the sofa carries 8 decorative cushions and 3 folded throws, and the first thing anyone does before sitting is move half of them onto the floor. Every extra cushion takes away seat space, and every extra throw adds visual clutter. The Japanese concept is called ema, which means the empty space in a room is something you keep on purpose, not something you fill. The empty part of the sofa is the whole point, because if you have to clear it before you can sit, the cushions have taken over. The solution is 2 or 3 cushions on a standard sofa, 4 or 5 on a large sectional, and 1 or 2 throws you actually reach for. Store or donate the rest. Count the cushions on your sofa tonight, and if it is more than 5, remove 3 and see if you even notice. In a Japanese home, every object has a fixed place. It belongs to an idea called tea, so nothing drifts around and nothing ends up in the wrong spot for weeks. In an American home, the bedroom armchair was bought for a fantasy of sitting there with a book and a cup of tea, and in practice, it is the place clothes go when they are not quite dirty enough for the wash, but not quite clean enough for the wardrobe. A chair without a real purpose will always end up collecting laundry. The Japanese reasoning is that every object should have a specific place, and a chair that only fills a corner has no real place at all. If you genuinely sit there, keep it. But if it is really an upholstered laundry pile, remove the chair because a few hooks or a small dresser will do far more for the room. The fifth Japanese organization rule Americans break is about the furniture you bought for guests who barely come. In a Japanese home, furniture is scaled to the Tuesday household, the people who actually eat there on a weekday night. And extra guests sit on floor cushions called zabuton that come out of a cupboard and go back in. In an American home, the dining table seats 10 because the extended family comes over at Christmas, and every ottoman poof and extra chairs there for a party that happens twice a year. You designed a room around 1 or 2 meals a year, and you live inside the aftermath every day. The Japanese reasoning is that a home is furnished for the household that lives in it, not for the household that visits it. The fix is a dining table sized for your daily household with an extension leaf and stackable chairs you put away between visits. For the living room, start with comfortable seating for the people who use it every day and bring in a dining chair or compact stool when guests arrive. The sixth Japanese organization rule Americans break is about the most expensive room in your house. In a Japanese home, one room does many jobs across a single day, the concept called ichi shitsuo, meaning one room, many uses. The futon rolls out at night and rolls away in the morning, and the same room becomes a bedroom, living room, and workspace across 24 hours. In an American home, an entire bedroom is reserved for people who visit maybe 5 or 10 nights a year while you work from the dining table and try to exercise between the sofa and the coffee table. You're paying mortgage or rent on a room that has a real job for about 1% of the year, while your daily life has no room of its own. The Japanese reasoning is that a room belongs to the days you use it, not the days you might. Design the room around what you need every day and accommodate guests when they visit. A home office with a good quality sleeper sofa can do double duty. If you have the right wall and the budget, a Murphy bed gives guests a proper mattress without permanently taking over the floor. The seventh Japanese organization rule Americans break is about the wardrobe you push past every morning. In a Japanese wardrobe, the older practice of dance, which means refuse, dispose, and separate reserves the visible and reachable part for the life you have right now. In an American wardrobe, the front is packed with clothes you hope will fit again, expensive pieces you regret buying, and outfits from a job or lifestyle you no longer have. You end up pushing past clothes that make you feel guilty every morning just to find something to wear. Danshari is an older Japanese decluttering philosophy that predates Marie Kondo's Kari method by decades, and both share the same core idea. What you keep should earn its place. The clothes you wear this month deserve the space, and the clothes you might wear one day deserve a box out of the way. If something is sentimental, store it separately. The easiest to reach part of your wardrobe should be reserved for the body and the life you have now, not the body you are grieving or the job you left 3 years ago. The eighth Japanese organization rule Americans break is about the cupboard you open every single morning. In a Japanese kitchen, the cupboard holds what the household actually drinks from, plus a small allowance for guests. In an American kitchen, the cupboard holds 40 mugs, made up of free ones from the office conference, giveaways, wedding favors, and novelty ones from every holiday since 2015. And the same 2 or 3 get used every day, while the rest gather dust. There is a Japanese concept called matanai, which means regret over waste, and Americans often misapply it as a reason to keep things. The Japanese application is the opposite, because keeping something you will never use is itself the waste. A mug you never drink from is not really a mug. Keep enough for the people in your home, plus a few extras for guests, and donate the rest. The same principle applies to the water bottle collection from every conference and race day for the last 5 years. The ninth Japanese organization rule Americans break is about the drawer you slam every time you open it. In a Japanese kitchen, storage is bought as a system one time, so every container nests and every lid fits every base in its size class. In an American kitchen, the container drawer is bought one crisis at a time with a set from Target in 2019, a pack from Costco in 2021, and a random 3-ack from the grocery store last month, so half the drawer is air-trapped between badly stacked plastic. Every lid belongs to a container you cannot find, and every container belongs to a lid you already threw out. A container without its lid is not really storage. It is a bowl. Start by matching every container with its lid tonight and removing the orphans. As pieces wear out, replace them with containers that nest together and share a small number of lid sizes. The 10th Japanese organization rule Americans break is about the piece of furniture that eats a whole wall. In a Japanese home, the traditional display space is called a tokonom, a small alcove that holds one beautiful object, often changed with the seasons. In an American home, the china cabinet, curio cabinet, or open shelving unit holds 30 objects competing for attention, most of which the owner does not love and cannot even remember buying. Displaying 30 things is really displaying nothing because your eye has nowhere to rest. The Japanese reasoning is that one beautiful object with room to breathe has more presence than 30 objects competing for the same shelf. If you collect ceramics, records, books, or vintage glassware, and you genuinely enjoy seeing them, an open shelving unit can be beautiful. But if the cabinet is mostly holding dusty trinkets or good china that has not left the shelf in 15 years, keep the few pieces you love and give them more room. If you need the storage, replace the cabinet with a sideboard or another piece with closed doors. The 11th Japanese organization rule Americans break is about the furniture that swallows the floor. In a traditional Japanese room, the floor stays visible because the futon rolls up, low tables are moved, and cabinets sit on legs or hang from the wall. Visible floor is another form of emma. In an American room, the entertainment unit is a 2-foot deep console built for a television that has not existed since 2008. The sofa runs all the way to the ground, and every large piece of furniture reads as a solid block against the floor. Furniture that sits directly on the floor creates a heavier visual block because the floor disappears underneath it. Raise the same piece a few inches on legs, and the visible gap makes it feel lighter and far less imposing. Two rooms with identical square footage can feel completely different depending on how much floor you can actually see. Mounting the television on the wall and using a shallow unit underneath frees up 2 feet of floor you did not know you had, and wall-mounted cabinet systems like Vitso provide storage without creating another solid block against the ground. The 12th Japanese organization rule Americans break is about the last surface you would ever think of as taking up space. In a Japanese room, natural light is treated as structural, and shoji screens made of paper and wood diffuse daylight across the entire window, so the room reads brighter and deeper than its actual square footage. In an American room, heavy drapes with valances and pelmets frame the window dress and then cover it for half the day. A window is really the room's borrowed square footage because it extends the eye outward past the wall into the light. Heavy curtains crop that borrowed space off and turn the window into another dark rectangle on the wall. The Japanese reasoning is that light is the cheapest square footage you own, and everything you drape across it is subtracting from the room. The fix is sheer panels, simple roller blinds, or nothing at all where privacy allows. If the room faces the street layer, a light sheer under a heavier curtain that you actually draw back during the day, rather than one that hangs there as decoration. Before you close this video, there is one more thing worth knowing because it is the trap that catches most people the moment they start following the first 12 rules. One of the most common traps in a small home is assuming that everything inside it also needs to be small, so you buy a tiny rug, several little side tables, and a gallery wall filled with small frames. Individually, each piece looks appropriate, but together they create so many visual interruptions that the room feels busier and even more cramped. Compare that with a room that has a full-size sofa, one solid coffee table, and a rug big enough to sit under the whole seating area. The room instantly feels calmer and more open because there is less for your brain to process. What you want is a few properly sized pieces that anchor the room, and not a scattering of small ones that break it up. Every one of those rules came from the same 4 ideas. Empty the counter, hide the pile, show the floor, and let the light in. And there's a quick test for any room in your house. Can I see the floor? Can I see the counter? Can I see out of the window without pushing something aside? Is the entryway clear when I walk in? Any question you answer no to is the place to start. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you took something positive away from this video. Check out the video appearing on your screen right now. I think you will like it, and I will see you in the next